Okay. Hey, to the liberal, to the latte drinking liberals, here you go. It's a story about Trump. And actually, the Trump administration did something very stupid. It's dumb. Okay, now they're saying that they didn't release any war plans. But I swear to God, man, like, come on. You have to be very well aware of when you set up a group chat, you know who you're texting because heaven forbid you send somebody the wrong text message. because it could blow up in your face. Literally, no pun intended, because the Trump administration accidentally sent and added the Atlantic editor about the group chat. So let's go ahead and find out what's going on here, because this is rather fascinating. So first, I won't be able to read the full article because it's behind a paywall. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. Really? The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is because Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. This will require some explaining. But first, before some explaining, we go to our friends at CNN. Caitlin Collins, hit that home run away.
Secretary Hegseth there saying that nobody was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans.
And before we play the rest of the video, shout out to my friends at Hotspot. They're doing some good stuff there. Okay? Accidentally. It's very interesting. Houthi PC small group. Excellent. A good start. John Radcliffe. Mar. Good job, Pete and your team. Mike Waltz. The team in MAL did a great job as well. Great work. Great work, all. Powerful start. The Trump administration accidentally added the Atlantic's editor to a signal group where Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth sent him classified details on the upcoming U.S. strikes on Yemen, including precise info on weapons targets and timing hours in advance. Look at that. Look at this group chat. At J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here, nice and tight. And if there are things we can do upfront to minimize risks to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Okay, hold on. Pete Hegseth, VP, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet and on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now's a good time as any, given the President of the United States directive to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go. The President of the United States retains 24 hours of decision space. As I heard it, the president was clear. Green light, but we should make clear to Egypt and Europe, what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. Interesting. Goes on even further. Good start again. Look at that. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yes, baby. Yes, it does.
When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening. I didn't publish this, and I continue not to publish it because it felt like it was too confidential, too technical, and I worry, honestly, that sharing that kind of information in public could endanger American military personnel. But no, they were plans for the attack. And they were texted before the attack.
And there were things texted that you viewed as so sensitive, you did not even publish them in your report today.
I made the decision that the technical aspects of this, including what kinds of weapons packages, the attack sequencing, and so on, that's not necessarily in the public interest. What's in the public interest is that they were running a war plan on a messaging app and didn't even know who was invited into the conversation. I mean, it's an obvious, ridiculous security breach. And, you know, he if you notice, he didn't actually answer the question.
But his attempt at a denial also stood out to me because no one that I talked to at the White House today argued this or tried to say these were, you know, misconstrued or altered or this is not
Yeah.
real. I mean, the National Security Council confirmed the veracity
Yeah,
of
the
it.
National Security Council, I asked various officials, including Pete Hegseth this morning, for comment. And the first question I had for everyone is this real? I wanted to make sure, obviously, before we go public, and say, are you sure that this is not a disinformation campaign run by a foreign state, a non-state actor of some sort, trying to target a journalist for reasons I couldn't explain? And they're like, no, this is apparently a real channel. And I
It's real. It's so real. My goodness. How come no? I mean, unless they were doing it to troll the guy. I mean, you got to know when you do a group chat, you just can't add. You have to know something doesn't add up here.
appreciate them telling the truth about that. And we published.
Did they
right
seem
out.
alarmed when you reached out for comment?
Probably is not the happiest day that they experienced in the White House so far, but they were professional about it.
I thought that as you were kind of walking through when this began, you weren't even sure if it was real yourself. You
Oh,
thought
I was-
maybe I'm being spun or
Yeah.
conned or
No,
something's happening here.
until the day that I received the attack plan from Pete Hegseth at 11:44 a.m. That Saturday, March 15th, and then saw the attack plan said that 13:45, 1:45 p.m. Eastern time, that the first bombs would be dropping in Yemen. Until that moment, until that period elapsed, the 2-hour period between that text and the first bombs being dropped, I thought it was a hoax. I thought somebody was trying to entrap me. Again, could it have been a foreign intelligence service? Could it have been a gadfly organization that tries to entrap journalists, which we know happens? I didn't know what it was or who it was, but what I did know was that the obvious answer was that this is a real.
Smarty says, didn't Tulsi just fire a bunch of people for inappropriate group chats? Yeah, it is. This is an embarrassment to the Trump administration. This is like a gut check to the Trump administration. I mean, come on. How is it that you're not going to know who you add in the group chat? Okay. This is incredibly embarrassing and shameless. I mean, look, we already know that they were planning on doing this attack. And now this Atlantic journalist was put in. I mean, come on. Something doesn't add up to the point to where you have a journalist being included in such sensitive information. I mean, were they trying to set this guy up, or was this an absolute failure at the highest level where you have people in key positions of power within the administration talking about very sensitive information?
Real conversation of the national security leadership of the United States seemed improbable to me, because why would they do it on Signal? Why would they do this on a messaging app? And why would they invite the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic to watch?
Flex Diggs. I got a text during my morning dump. I thought it was spam. It's all right, man. You've been privy to sensitive information. God, my audience. I love you party animals. I love all of you. God. Flex Diggs. Hey, but you're seeing the White House counselor. Get up and go. Let's see. Torwind. The U.S. Empire is about to get its Battle of the Teutoburg Forest moment. Oh, please. No, don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. The Teutoburg Forest hurts my soul. Quintinius Varus, give me back my legions. I wonder if Trump is going to run around like Augustus, screaming, give me back my aircraft. Ah! Ah, Torwin! Torwin! Don't hurt my heart. Quintinius Varus, give me back my eagles.
And how many people were on this chat?
18.
And did any of them at any point when you were included in here ever raise that question? Why are we talking about this over Signal?
No, nobody raised the question, why are we talking about this over Signal? And nobody said, hey, who is JG? You know, because you show up in a little bubble as your initials. And no one at any point said, who's JG? And when I withdrew from the group, you formally remove yourself. You hit a button. It says JG has removed himself from the group. I assumed that somebody would say, hey, who just removed himself from the group? Nothing.
You didn't hear from Mike Waltz or anyone else after that?
No, nothing at all. I mean, it's.
See, here's the thing. Again, I'm not a fan of corporate media, but I could sympathize with this guy right here because he's like, oh, crap. What did I find myself in? Oh, crap. What was I just put in? Oh, crap. What did I just see? he probably took a nervous dump after that. I don't know. That's just my speculation right there, my opinion. Because if I was privy to this, like, oh, this is happening. I'm part of this. How's that security? Trump administration. How can you guys do something this stupid?
Some a level of incuriosity. I guess that's the polite way of saying it. It's a level of recklessness that I have not seen in many years of reporting on national security issues.
And so you eventually remove yourself from the chat.
Right. Once I was sure that it was real.
But after you've seen everything, I mean, you published these messages.
Well, I don't know what I haven't seen since then, but yes, I removed myself and I started writing the story.
That's
in
fair.
order to expose the security breach.
And some White House reporters today were saying maybe I would have never removed myself from that.
You know, these are tough questions. But I can't go into it, all the decision making involved in this. But I found out what I needed to find out. A, that it was real, and B, that it did represent the kind of gap, the Mack truck sized gap in their security that I could never have imagined a White House experiencing.
I mean, because you're a reporter and probably a worse nightmare to have someone included on a chat, but a foreign adversary or someone who wanted to do real harm to the United States. I think that's the concern that is so obvious.
Look,
here.
I say this only half jokingly. I mean, I'm sitting in a Safeway parking lot watching my phone, realizing, oh my God, this might be real. I think Pete Hegseth just sent this group actual targeting information, actual sequencing of an attack. And I'm holding on to the phone. I don't want anybody to. And then I thought to myself, well, I mean, I guess they're lucky they didn't send this to a Houthi by mistake or to a foreign diplomat or to somebody who would plausibly be in one of their phones. I guess that counts as a kind of luck. That's why they're not supposed to use open source privately owned messaging services. They're supposed to keep all those conversations on what they call the high side. That's the classified side, where only government officials who are cleared to talk about this stuff get to talk about it. That's why they have that.
You typically can't even download Signal to a classified device that they issue at the Pentagon,
Right.
for example. Was there anyone in the group?
Now, yes, Patrick D, you're right. Like, does JD Vance have like the head chief commander of the Houthis there? I mean, you know, Hassan Piker's probably be like, oh man, wow, a Houthi could be involved in this. Like, no, of course he would say that, but nonetheless, I mean, come on. You really think that what? They have Kim Jong-un's personal cell phone number, like, and Kim Jong-un's gonna be like, yo, Putin, look at this, bro. Like, no. But this is stupid on their part. I don't think that, again, this information going out to a terrorist or foreign government probably is not going to happen. But the fact that a journalist was added to it shows just how incompetent a lot of those people were in that group chat were, because you got to understand, you have to know who's part of that chat. Okay, if you do a group chat, the point is, the whole idea of a group chat is to keep things private and within that said group. Maybe I'm a dreamer.
Chat who surprised you that you were wondering why would they be included in this
Lawrence Johnson, you be nice.
conversation?
Well, it was an
about-
interesting chat. It wasn't just CIA or intelligence officials, not just defense officials. The Secretary of State was there, the Secretary of Treasury was there, the White House Chief of Staff was there, White House political aides like Stephen Miller.
Prim 54. So I guess it's okay for them to work remotely. Mandatory thumbs up for Prim 54. We're bringing back remote working again, people.
I believe was there. It was a pretty broad group, given given that the level that it was at. It was just a kind of an all-encompassing coordination group.
I was going to save that for later, but ASDF, AS, and it goes on like that. Imagine being a journalist who gets the biggest scoop ever for free, and blow it. He had gold, and he threw it away. You know what? I'm actually rewatching Succession. So, to my friends who have at least introduced Succession to, at least my viewing audience, You know, there's that scene in season 1 where Logan Roy just turns to Kendall and says, "Yeah, who wants gold? I want gold." You had a gold rush mine story. I mean, you had the scoop, the morning dump, the morning scoop dump of the day, and you just threw it out the window. I mean, you could have been a fly on the wall, and I mean, obviously, I think you should have lawyered up, possibly. This is what I'm going to say here, but I'm going to save my thoughts at the end. Saving my thoughts at the end.
Group for a specific action. I would say, to answer your question, I've been surprised by most aspects of this story since I first got invited into the Signal chat.
Actually, was an ABC journalist, I believe, not CBS. But if so, Herb Green, I will double check on that. But I believe it was ABC News. But if not, again, you're absolutely correct, because they all knew. They all knew.
I mean, what have you heard today? I mean, I was getting blown up about this. Messages of people saying that they couldn't believe what they were reading in your piece. What did you hear from people today?
That they couldn't believe what they were hearing in the piece. I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm very interested, obviously, in what the professionals say about this. Professional reporters who cover these issues, like I have, people who have been in government, and it's a combination of extreme bad luck. How could you possibly invite the editor of The Atlantic into your chat? What are the chances of that? And also just real anxiety and anger, both about the sloppiness. Remember, American service people were involved directly in this attack. It wasn't just standoff weapons fired from 1,000 miles away. But you can't just put out this kind of information. And hope for the best. The other piece that people are upset about, and there's a lot of military people feel this way, is like, hey, we have guidelines about how we're supposed to handle sensitive information. We have to pass tests every year on this. We get punished if we leave something on a desk. We get punished if we don't put it in a safe. What's going to happen here? These guys are just chatting. They're sitting, on the weekends in their homes, at stores, at restaurants, on their phones, and what's going to happen? They're wondering if there's a couple of, a double standard.
Well, what did you make of the argument that?
Hold on, I'm going to pause this here, okay? Because yes, this guy is boring. Because you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, oh no, Nocturnal Human says on Rumble. Oh no, I have to be a journalist. This is the biggest story that could have been his career, really made his career. I mean, this was pure gold. Back in the day, before journalism and the media was controlled by corporations, same corporations who bought and own our politicians. I want everyone to understand. Do you want to know why he didn't? Because he knew he was, he saw something that he shouldn't have seen. And instead of being a journalist and maybe figuring this out, maybe lawyering up and, I don't know, at least getting himself protected, he went to his bosses and said, what do I do? Possibly, maybe. And so the thing is, like, hey, you gotta protect yourself. But he's saying, like, oh, there's got to be security. There's got to be this and that. Yes, there does. But also, my goodness, like, we're finding out about what's happening overseas. U.S. foreign policy is like, we're engaged in another war zone. Great, another war. But you're not going to do your job and report this properly, like get all the facts down here. And I understand putting, I get it, servicemen and women in danger. You don't want to do that. But I mean, this is the biggest story of your lifetime. But yet you are also saying, like, there are certain things that people shouldn't know about. There are things we need to know about. I mean, this isn't the first time, we've been led into a war or something shady has happened.